start? Okay. This interview is with Joseph McCrady on June 8th, 2003 in Fall River, Massachusetts with Michelle Kelly, Director of Oral History at the Battleship Massachusetts. And I'd like to ask you first to state your full name and where and when you were born.
I'm Joseph Edward McCrady, born May 1925 in Marshall County, Kentucky.
Was the Massachusetts the first ship that you were on?
No, I commissioned the USS Alabama in August of 1942, and then a year later was transferred to the Massachusetts in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, and a boatload of us left the Alabama for the Massachusetts.
And how old were you at that time?
17.
What division were you put in? Or what division were you in on Massachusetts?
B Division.
And what was your specialty?
Boilermaker second class.
So how did you come to be in the blacksmith shop?
That's the combined shop here of the blacksmiths, metalsmiths, and boilermakers. It was a maintenance shop. We had 3 separate jobs in here. Frank Gately was the chief metalsmith, and Irwin Seymour was the first class boilermaker, and Donald Beer was the I guess you'd call him a jack of all trades. He's a blacksmith, a welder, and like that.
So did you work with these people frequently?
Yes, we were frequently right here in this shop, except when we were in combat conditions.
What was your rate?
Boilermaker second class.
And can you tell me specifically what your duties were here?
To maintain the boilers as you know, there are 4 boiler rooms, 2 boilers in each room, machinery space. And our job as boilermakers was to maintain those in operating order, to see that they were in operating condition, repairs was necessary on them, so that we'd have power to propel the ship with.
And what experience did you have doing that kind of work before you came aboard?
Very little. I'd been to back then they had an NYA, National Youth Administration, and I went to one of their trade schools for about 3 months before I enlisted in the service, in welding and metalsmith.
Were you further trained on board the ship? Were you trained further aboard the ship?
Aboard the ship?
Yes.
Yes.
And can you recall what your daily routine was? You told me about the people you worked with. Did you have a daily routine, and what hours did you work?
Not really. It changed daily, depending on where a problem existed and what needed to be fixed in which boiler room. But normally, we would be on call in this shop, right in this area here. And there was 4 of us in the boiler repair gang. First class boilermaker Irwin Lewis Seymour, he was from Schenectady, New York. I was a second class, and John J. Harvey was a third class boilermaker. He was from here in Massachusetts. And James Simon Johnston Jr. was a third class. He was from Pasadena, California. So there was just 4 of us in here. And unfortunately, I'm the last one left.
What was it like working in here? Was it noisy and hot, or what was it like?
It was extremely noisy in here. Yes, it was. With metal brakes going, furnace fired up, everybody doing something. Bang, wham, weld something and fix it and take it back and put it wherever it went.
How many people worked in this room at one time?
In here, well, let's see, there was the 4 boilermakers, the chief metalsmith, a first class and a second class metalsmith, and a first class a machinist mate, I think, who was the blacksmith type fellow. So there's about 8 or 9 of us in this shop here.
Was it fun working in this area?
Well, nothing is fun during a war. We did what we had to do because it was necessary to keep this ship going. We all had a camaraderie. There was never any differences of opinion or anything in our work. We never got in each other's way. If somebody was doing something and we weren't, then we lend a hand, see. Yet we learned a lot more about what goes on in propelling a ship.
Was it extremely busy in here? Did you have any downtime at all?
Downtime? Very little downtime. You had time when you weren't on watch or you weren't firing your guns. I had 3 different stations that I worked at. Primary station was the boiler shop. My second station was the number 2 fire room. And my third station was a 20mm machine gun. So we had underway like that, you had what we call 4 on and 4 off. If I was on watch, I was in the boiler room. If I was off watch, I was here. And if general quarters sounded and I was here, I had to go to the machine gun. But if general quarters sounded while I was on watch in the boiler room, I remained in there.
And what was your specific duty when you were at battle stations?
My specific duties in here?
In battle stations, at your battle station.
I handled ammunition for the 20mm machine gunner. I'd set the canisters up and he'd fire them.
Can you tell me a little about daily life aboard the Massachusetts, what you did for entertainment, what the food was like?
Oh, when we were anchored, we would have movies on the fantail, and they'd have skits. Everybody would do something, you know, to entertain the crew. But mostly it consisted of movies, or if we were anchored, we'd go ashore on one of the islands and have picnics, just stuff like that.
Did you all ever play pranks on each other?
Play what?
Pranks, jokes?
No, you only did that once or twice, and then somebody had you before the captain at captain's mast. It was not a good idea to start playing pranks under those circumstances.
Can you tell me about the diary that you hid?
I had a diary that I had in a locker right up there, but the locker's gone. So I kept a diary. Then Flank Speed Kelly, a first-class machinist mate, if we were here, we'd get on, have it come over the intercom. We'd get on the intercom set and listen to the Combat Information Center over the 2 JV sets. And we'd know where we were, how many bogies were coming in, what direction they were coming from, what was the alert status, and who was to fire and who wasn't to fire, and so forth like that. And we could actually hear sometimes the pilots talking to each other up there.
Can you tell me about some of your most frightening moments aboard the ship?
My most frightening moment was I was on watch in number 2 boiler room. Now that's about frame 29 on the configuration of the ship. Well, we had right over the intercom it said, "Stand by to receive a torpedo on frame 26. And everybody froze. But thanks to the quartermaster, he missed it. It didn't hit us. But that was about the most frightening moment I ever had aboard a ship.
Do you have any other memorable things that you wanted to talk about, or any other memories that you wanted to share?
Well, no, it's just a rewarding experience for me to come back and relive some of this. And it, looking back on it, it kind of amazes me how few officers and senior non-commissioned officers could take a crew of teenagers as we were and make us into a fighting machine.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
All right.
Thanks.